Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope, my name is Mike Piroworski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That makes me the co-host with the most from the coast with the most here on The Rundown. 2A views, the conservative news, and Craig, I think either my camera's on the wander or I got shorter. I'm not sure what happened.
No, I'm looking at us, and we're about the same. We're about the same place. We're about the same place. So all is good, especially because, well, today is a special day.
It is.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity, yum. It's like a dream.
That's right, folks. Yes, it is like a dream. This Taco Tuesday. Folks, look, tacos is the universal food of, people who just like to eat. That would be me.
Yeah, exactly. One of my alternate favorite taco places just got a bad review from me this past week also.
Uh-oh, what happened?
They're gas station tacos, right? They used to be like a truck outside. Now they got a spot inside, and it used to be wonderful. It used to be great. Now I go in there like the last 3 times. It's just been stupid American kids, and was like, "Hey, I'd like to get a chicken street taco." Like, "Oh, okay." And they bring out this like Taco Bell looking thing, and I'm like, "No, dude, chicken." Cilantro, onions. That's it on a corn tortilla or a flour tortilla, soft shell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bring out something like, did I say tomatoes and sour cream? What is wrong with you? I just want. I don't think we make that. Well, thanks. And I left them like a very short review that said, bring back the Mexican helpers. That was it. Just like either train these kids to do it right and give them a little motivation, because that was the big part. Oh, right. Man, that's a special order. I don't know how to do that. Really? A chicken taco is a special order? All right, never mind.
Everything is already made for you. All you have to do is put it on the thing.
Yeah, exactly right.
Wow.
It's like going to Taco Bell and ordering something different and them saying we don't have the ingredients. Bull crap. It's all the same ingredients. You just make one on its side, make one standing up, and you roll the other one. It's all the same ingredients.
Well, it is what it is, sir. I have not made plans for what kind of tacos we will be eating today, but I'm kind of leaning towards just the traditional street tacos. So, and we have several places on the street where we can get our street tacos here in California.
I am going to go to the other side of town today to my good number one, the truck on the side of the road, and I'm going to take pictures of that and then go back and post it on my other review and say, not tacos I got from this place. Yeah.
There you go. Spread the word. I'm actually very big about that. I do review places, whether they're good or they're bad. I do review them if they are notable on either end of the spectrum. If they're I don't bother. I just don't go back.
You see, I have the rule where if I'm going to do a bad post, there's got to be at least 3 other good posts that I put out. I hate those people that just post bad reviews. Or I normally go to this place and it's wonderful, and now it sucks. So did you put any reviews there when they were good? No? Well, you don't get to put a suck review.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You gotta kind of be fair. And in particular, I find that I get more from the although I will say this, I get more from bad reviews than I do from good reviews, in that I look for the details, right? I'm like, what are the details you're pointing out? And is there a theme that follows in the bad reviews?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. No, very true. Very true.
All right.
Good plan.
Okay, enough of the taco discussion. Let's get on to getting a shout out to our sponsors before we begin the rest of the program.
Let's do it. Let's talk about our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you got yourself an AR in the last 5 years, probably got one of their barrels, don't even know it. Now you could buy direct from them for your next build or rebarrel your current AR. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, giving you the good information, fighting the good fight behind enemy lines out there in California. Make sure you team up with them and find the next viable candidates to fill those conservative spots. If you want some awesome field gear, hunting season's here. Get you some hunting gear, some tactical gear. Go over to uscombatgear.com, veteran-owned and operated. And then, of course, it's Christmas time. Let's get you out there and go buy some gifts. Get you the best tactical holsters, concealable tactical holsters for you and all the people you know at Hog Holsters, HAWG holsters.com. That's hogholsters.com. Use the rundown as your special discount code. That's the rundown, all caps, no spaces.
Folks, these are our sponsors. These are the folks who bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. So do us a favor. Links to their websites are in the description to this program. So click on it, check them out. If you like what you see, and I'm pretty sure you will, make sure you spend some money with them, donate to them, support them in any way that they're asking you to, and tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Also, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you like, share, subscribe to the program. We know that the algorithms, the pooters are doing their best to try and keep us apart, trying to keep us from getting the word out. So if you subscribe, if you share, I know I hear a lot of you say, well, I don't get the alerts. Well, if you haven't subscribed, then that basically means that you may or may not get the alerts. But do that, and make sure if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified every single time the program goes live, and then you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. But remember, like, share, subscribe, Encourage your friends to do the same.
Yep. Craig, I actually had to turn off the alerts. I had the alerts when we first started doing this, and I would set the alert like with 15 minutes notice. That way I could make sure I had enough time to, get behind the camera, comb my hair, that kind of good stuff. But then I would do like the snooze button on it rather than the dismiss, and we'd be starting the show and the alert would be going off again. And I'd be like, come on, man. Just
Well, and folks, by the way, I was doing that exact same thing, and we are on a bunch of different channels. So my phone is like ding, 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 ding every time the show would start. Exactly. But yeah, so check us out. However you're watching us, encourage your friends to watch us that way, or just there's tons of different ways to watch or listen to the program. So do that. By the way, we got some of our numbers back from our podcast, the podcast version of the program. We're doing quite well. So I want to thank our podcast audience, our listeners. Even though we don't get to you till an hour after we get to everybody else, or we're on in the next hour via our audio podcast, you folks are faithful to tune in, and we very much appreciate it.
So I don't know what any of that meant, but it sounds good.
Of course it does. Okay, moving right along. So they're talking about Hakeem Jeffries, who is the incoming leader of the House Democrats. And in this particular piece, they basically, Time Magazine admits that election denier is a nonsense phrase invented to smear Republicans, right? And by the way, this is, by the way, a commentary piece that is in the Federalist where they're referring to it. And what they're talking about in this particular piece was they're acknowledging that, Hakeem Jeffries did in fact deny the election of Donald Trump. He is, in fact, an election denier, right? And if you need evidence that he's an election denier, here's just some of the tweets that he sent out. I don't know exactly what the date of this one was. It was the only one that they included that did not include a date. Let's see. Yeah, it was the only one they included that did not include a date. But it says, the more we learn about the 2016 election, the more illegitimate it becomes. America deserves to know whether we have a fake president in the Oval Office. Hashtag Russian interference, right? Then you have this tweet, which was in 2018. Lie. more than any administration in history of the Republic. Cheat, 2016 election / Russian interference. Steal, 1 or 2 Supreme Court seats. When will the Republicans put country ahead of party, clean up the corruption? Once again, that was in 2018. Oh, but trust me, even in 2020, he was still denying. He's like, and this by the way, right here is August 8th, 2020. Let's be clear, Donald. The only person trying to steal the election is you and your buddies in the Kremlin. And then finally, we've got this one. The only person. Oh wait, are they both the same? Are they both? Oh wait, here we go. Bam. There we go. Okay. Keep pouting. History will never accept you as legitimate president. Folks, this was November 24th, 2020. This was after the 2020 election. He's still referring to President Donald Trump as he's still denying the 2016 election. But you know what's interesting about this, Mike, is now in this piece that once again was written in Time Magazine, they're literally referring to this new definition. Now, once again, I guess they get to change words, but this is their definition of election denier. The term election denier has taken on a particular meaning. However, Trump's re-election campaign, the phrase has become associated with Republicans who claim the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. Assert without evidence there was fraud in the 2020 election and cast doubt on secure voting systems, claims that led to the deadly January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. Now, Mike, last I checked, the term election has a meaning. The term denier has a meaning. When put together, it means that you deny the outcome of an election, right?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Jeffries, by clear definition, meets that. But this is another example of Democrats trying to redefine things in order to make it fit their particular narrative. The funny part is most people are not denying that an election took place in 2020. They're not. There was an election. They question the outcome of the outcome tallies of that election, but they don't question whether or not an election took place.
Craig, listen, adding a third word in there would just take too long of a time. You can't put a third word in there to clarify what you're talking about. You know, again, it comes back to their simple minds, right? It's where they end up every time. They think they've got a great thing, they roll with it, and then the rest of us sit there doing the facepalm as they talk. It's the way they roll, right? Listen, illegitimate elections, okay. Election outcome denier, okay. You see, it's so easy to clarify it, but Craig, if they clarify that, they know they can't go back and scrub this guy's Twitter history, which is why they have to come up with the new term election denier, because I guess that puts them in the clear.
Right. Now, Mike, I need you to do me a favor and go ahead and I need you to turn your mic back up a little bit because now we got you really crazy low.
I did not change the volume of my mic.
Oh, well, now you're better. I guess maybe you weren't speaking into it as closely, but what I find particularly curious about this whole thing, once again, is that it's just another example of how they change the definition of things, right? And they act as if we're the crazy ones. Like, wait a minute. You've been denying for 4 years the outcome of an election. There were investigations in the House of Representatives that lasted 4 years. And it was all based on, we now know, Russian lies, a Russian dossier that was paid for by the Democrats, by Hillary Clinton. And it's all been revealed now. We all know this all now. And yet you don't and by the way, that did actually wind up affecting an election. Not the 2016 election, but it wound up affecting the 2020 election. All of those lies. But yet, you don't want to. I don't know. I'm confused. They just got me all confused.
Well, I think he clearly he admits to Russian interference in every one of his tweets. He must be talking about what was proven, the dossier, the collusion. He must be talking about all of that.
Right. Exactly. But the problem, Mike, is that it was his folks who actually were working with the Russians in the dossier.
What? What? You mean you got facts that they choose to ignore again because it doesn't meet their agenda? I don't buy it, Craig.
I know you don't, Mike. I know you don't, and that's okay. That's okay. We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
All right. Okay.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. All right. So we had the data dump, right? We had Elon Musk sent all of this information and data to Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi, basically, all he literally did was basically take the information, the communications, the messages back and forth between the government and Twitter executives. And he shared that data and information to basically paint a picture to show exactly what happened prior to the 2020 election and Hunter Biden's laptop. It was almost a cut and paste. So all he did was just share the data in order to give the context, right? Well, there's another cut and paste that is taking place. And that cut and paste has to do with commentary on Matt Taibbi and the use of this information or how this whole thing was reported. And the new cut and paste basically says, yeah, he's just Matt Taibbi, all he's doing is he's giving free PR to a billionaire, right? Now, we saw this before. We saw this sort of commentary before. And that was when you came to quote unquote Russian disinformation, right? This is how the press is now trying to basically avoid the Hunter Biden story, right? The fact that this is a story. I mean, Mike, I've seen places where they're like, for some reason, Elon Musk seems to be, he's like infatuated, or he's just hooked on this 2-year-old story. And the reason why it's a 2-year-old story is because almost all of the mainstream media has ignored not just the laptop, but they've ignored what's on the laptop. Think about it. It took almost 2 years for the New York Times, for the Washington Post, and most of the mainstream media to admit that the laptop was genuine, that it was real. And even still, they haven't reported on what is on the actual laptop. The evidence that that basically Hunter Biden was influence peddling and using his father's position as vice president of the United States to enrich the Biden family. And when I say the Biden family, I'm not just referring to Hunter Biden. I'm also referring to his uncle. I forget what his uncle's name is. And oh, by the way, it also benefited the big guy. And we know who the big guy is, right?
Oh, who's the big guy? I have no idea who the big guy is. Could Hunter possibly be referring to his father, then vice president, former senator, as the big guy? Craig, that's just too far of a stretch. I don't know that we could do that. Craig, let's look at that picture back up again. Let me see that headline there. Let's see that headline. I know we got the picture of Elon Musk there. Why is former All-Star Hall of Fame catcher Ivan Pudge Rodriguez picture?
That's Matt Taibbi.
Oh,
and by the way, Matt Taibbi's a liberal.
Yeah. He looks just like Pudge. Craig, isn't that the irony of all this, right? That he is a liberal, and all he's doing is, like you said, cutting and pasting and putting that information out there, and all of a sudden, he's the bad guy, right? Turn on him. We know how they turn on him. Remember when Donald Trump used to be friends of the Democrats and took pictures with everybody, and they all loved him, and then he said, "Oh no. I'm a conservative. I want to make America great again." Oh, he's Hitler. He's a Hitler lover. He's a gay hater. It's their MO, Craig. Turn on them and start slinging mud.
Right, right. Here's a couple of the criticisms that they're putting out there. Taibbi thread is a good example of overriding when you don't have the goods, but you don't want to admit you're just doing PR for the world's richest person, right? Dude, if you go to his thread and you read the emails or the text messages and the emails, dude, it's all there. The goods are all there. Here's another one. FWIW. I never considered Matt Taibbi a decent journalist. He was always a hack propagandist. The fact that he indulged my political preferences for years does not make him his work any better. So the point here is that but now what they're doing is they're basically trying to defame him. They're trying to make him look bad because he's reporting on the truth. He's revealing their little secret that the Democratic Party, in this case now in cahoots with the White House, by the way, also in partnership with the deep state. When I say the deep state, I'm specifically referring to some of the intelligence agencies. In this case, the FBI. They basically all colluded to make sure that they could do whatever they could to make sure that Donald Trump did not get reelected. Because, by the way, they never wanted him to get elected. It was Hillary's turn. And they all defied this. And none of them liked Donald Trump because Donald Trump called them all out on the carpet. And he revealed and pulled the sheet off of all of them. And they've all now been exposed. And so none of them wanted him to continue as president.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, and Craig, tell me if you do this. When I see, first off, this is not news reporting. This is copying, pasting tweets. That's all that this article's about. When I see tweets from people I've never heard of before, or people that have less than a couple hundred followers, like the Siva, Van Dam is the man guy, whoever you just quoted there, that tweet. I don't even look at them. Listen, if it's something funny, all right, I do want to see that. But if you're just coming up with your opinion, get a job. That's all I can tell you. Go get a job. Get a job in the real news industry, and then perhaps pay attention for you. Otherwise, you as the individual, I don't really care what you and your 300 followers think.
No, not at all. But like I said, when going back to looking at a lot of this, these folks are trying to tear him down because he's actually exposing their side.
Yep.
And that's all it really comes down to. They're getting exposed and they don't like it. Oh, speaking of being exposed, Mike, the new gun control law that passed with 50.65% of the vote there in Oregon. The Oregon Department of Justice, right? These are the people who actually tasked with implementing the law. Well, they're asking a judge to temporarily block the state's new gun control law. Specifically, the part of the law that they're trying to get delayed is the permitting process, the one where you have to go and you have to file and apply to get a permit to be able to exercise your constitutional right to bear arms, to be able to even purchase a firearm. And what they're saying is that, by the way, it includes a $65 fee. What they're saying is that this is going to wind up bankrupting a number of agencies because they just simply cannot afford to be able to, between the personnel and the background checks and all that, they simply cannot afford to be able to, they can't afford to do it. They just can't afford to be able to institute these programs, at least not yet.
It's fun to see that the DOJ, the state DOJ is getting involved in this now as well. Now, obviously, I don't think that it's based on the constitutionality of it, like the other lawsuits there, but the DOJ is saying they can't afford this. Craig, tell me how it is in California. I know in my state of Florida, anytime something enters onto the ballot, whether it's a constitutional amendment or a measure like they did with Measure 114 out there in Oregon, there must be a financial impact statement that goes along with it as well. That way, the public is well aware of, oh, we're going to do this great thing where we get rid of all the guns. Oh, by the way, it's going to cost you $1 billion to make it happen. It does not sound like they did a financial impact statement with Measure 114.
No, they don't. We don't care about financial impacts here in California. We really don't. There is no our legislative analyst's office will do a kind of an analysis of it, but it often doesn't include the finances of it. And in particular, the title and summary is done by the Attorney General, which has been a Democrat, which has been Democrats for the longest time, and they always lie. For example, we had a measure that would have repealed an increase in our gas tax, and they basically referred to it as terminating road projects. And they said that all they talked about was the impact would be that XYZ road projects that are being proposed would not go forward. They didn't explain that, one, we already have the gas tax. The gas tax would have still continued. And these projects are not projects that necessarily would have been funded or will be funded by the increase in the gas tax. They flat out misrepresented what it was. It was a repeal of a tax increase. They never mentioned any of that. So they lie. They flat out lie, and they get away with it. That's California.
Well, I guess that's why we got the governor we have, and we live in a very conservative state. Because we're honest about all parts of our elections, incling when people
don't worry,
forth
sir.
these
Look, I'm
ridiculous-
quite sure that if you keep Florida the way it is and doing so well, that there will be plenty of Californians and New Yorkers that will come to Florida and help you ruin it.
Oh, I'm listen. No doubt in my mind. Yep. Bring in your brownouts and your no gun laws.
Hey, our next story. This is an interesting one. Let's hit it real quick. You introduced me to this one, and I just found it to be incredibly funny. So why don't you go ahead and share with the folks this next story about Trump derangement syndrome and marriage?
I'll tell you what first attracted me to this story. You have the headline for this one. Let's see the headline for this one.
Yes,
this story.
I do.
It first drew my attention because I thought they were relaying a fact that I didn't know. I'm okay with it, but I thought they were relaying a fact I was unaware of. So, Dr. Phil, I read it where it says Dr. Phil describes feeling floored, like ground was opening up on hearing husband would vote for Trump, and I was like, Dr. Phil has a husband? I thought he had kids and stuff. So, not that there's anything wrong with that. See, I thought it would have said Dr. Phil guest, like he was guesting on a show, because that's what you and I say when we do other shows. I was like,
Dr. Phil guest, comma, or Dr. Phil, comma, guest. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a whole show on TDS, right? The old Trump derangement syndrome. This woman became emotionally unbalanced. She became fraught with anxiety when her husband, that she thought she knew, said he was voting for Donald Trump. Now, he was always a conservative and always a Republican, and yet when she said that he chose to vote for the conservative and Republican candidate, it still floored her, and she had no idea how to react, and she now questioned, his moral compass.
Well, what got me about this, Mike, was she acknowledged that he had always been the type of a person that took his time, that analyzed things, that looked at things, and then and made well-informed decisions, even if she disagreed with them. And in 2016, he had opted not to vote for Donald Trump. But upon looking at the data and the information and the performance of Donald Trump compared to what it was that Joe Biden was bringing to the table, he was like, there was absolutely positively no way he could vote. He could not vote for Donald Trump. He had voted for a third party candidate in 2016, but now he just felt it was that important that he needed to actually vote for Donald Trump. Now, that sounds familiar because that was me. But I think it was for a different reason. I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016 because I didn't believe he would govern like a conservative. He was 18 months prior, he was a New York liberal. Well, I was wrong. He actually wound up governing like a conservative. I'm not saying I liked everything he did, but overwhelmingly, I would say that America was better off having had him as president than not, or at least much better than having Hillary Clinton. But once again, she acknowledged that he did his homework. He did his studying. And now all of a sudden, because he didn't make the decision that she made, now she questions his moral compass and his fitness and all of this stuff. It's like, that is, to me, that is a clear sign of Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, she definitely has it. She definitely has it. And I know you referred to Donald Trump as a potential, or no, you said he had previously been a New York liberal. He'd never been a New York liberal. He was a New York capitalist, is what he was.
Look, he was pro-choice. He was anti-gun. He supported raising taxes.
That's not accurate, sir.
That is completely accurate. I will say after the show, I'll send you all the quotes.
No.
I'll send you the quotes. Words from his own mouth. Now,
for tomorrow's show,
at the same time, I've also learned you can't always listen to what Donald Trump says because sometimes he has no idea what he's saying. I think.
I feel like you're Donald Trump interpreter. You know, every time a story comes up, you're like, "Look what Donald Trump did." I'm like, that's not what he meant. That's not what he.
I'm telling you, I'm just, and all I'm doing is sharing his words, and you feel like you have to interpret English.
No. Because I look at his words, and he says, you know, again, he's like, I like the sun, you know, and then the news article is always Donald Trump hates the night. He hates the night. You know, the moon sucks. You know,
I just share his direct words. I'm sorry, man, but he was there's no way you cannot say that there are clear quotes. He supported abortion. He supported increasing taxes, and he supported banning guns. Not all guns, but I'm sorry. I'm not saying he hasn't seen the light. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that at the time in 2016, you could legitimately be concerned as to whether or not he would govern like a conservative. I'm saying 2016, not 2016 on.
Right. These are the paraphrase things. This is when you hear him say something like, people shouldn't be carrying long arms in a congested city for open carry. Oh, Donald Trump's anti-gun. No, that's not what he said. He's not what he said. Relax, news media. No, that's not what he said.
Not out of context. Anyway, we're getting a bit off topic, but anyway, the point here is that this is clearly when Trump derangement syndrome is affecting the institution of marriage, it is time to address. We have a national crisis known as Trump derangement syndrome, and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, listen. Every marriage is going to have its struggles. This woman just chose to make it this issue. You know, what is it? The woman wakes up every morning and goes, "What are we going to fight about today?" Right? This is her.
Exactly. All right, folks. Look, we're running behind again a little bit today, but let's go ahead and move over to our parting shots. And just so y'all know, our parting shots now are being brought to you directly, specifically by Hog Holsters. That's right. They are upping the ante. They're like, look, we want to make sure. They're like, we want to make, your audience laugh. So they want to make sure to sponsor our parting shots. Just to be real clear, if you go to their website, all you got to do is put in the rundown, all caps. That's the discount code, and get you a Hog Holster. Get you a nice discount on a Hog Holster. So let's get into our parting shots. This first one, I don't even think it really needs a description. It's hilarious. So it's got Joe Biden on it, and he's sitting here. For those of you who are just listening to the program, it says, "I walked in on Hunter and his friends vaccinating themselves. This is the unity we need."
There you go. Good one, Joe. Good one.
Oh, vaccinating themselves. Really?
Yep.
Themselves.
Yep.
No,
vaccinating themselves.
Yeah, just so y'all know. Although I don't think heroin or mainlining stuff was his thing. I believe he was more of a crackhead.
Hey, don't judge his method for his illegal narcotics. Just, let the guy be.
Okay, fine. I will not judge. Now, this next one, let's just put it this way. It's very difficult to try and know and understand how to address people with different genders, because now with the whole pronoun thing, everyone gets to pick their pronouns, right? In other words, it's not just he or her or him or his. Now you've got theirs, you've got a bunch of other. I mean, people can literally pick out and decide what they want their pronouns to be. And we're supposed to remember all that, right? Well, here's a great way to just kind of get around the entire thing. Mike, I'll go ahead and I'll let you read this one.
It's a picture of Shrek gathered around, giving some oratory to those around him, and it says, "How to address all genders so nobody gets offended." And he says, "Attention, all fairy tale things."
For those of you who have seen the movie Shrek, you get it. If you haven't seen the movie Shrek, don't know what to tell you.
Go watch it.
You probably didn't have kids, or you probably don't have kids. Anyway, and this last one just so reminds me of my good friend Mike, who, I believe you are currently in Facebook jail.
Yes, I am.
Mike is in Facebook jail. He needs to get a little F tattooed below his eye.
There you go. I got an F4.
All those of you who are fighting the good fight out there in social media, it's got the picture of Leonidas looking, and it says, "Them. Why do you keep posting memes that just get you banned?" And then it says me, and it's got the picture of Leonidas. "The world will know that free men stood against a tyrant."
Yep. There you go.
Good stuff, folks. Those are our parting shots brought to you by Hog Holsters. Check them out. You know that you will love them. All right, Mike. We're now at the end of our program once again today. It's time to give a shout out to our sponsors. Go ahead and give them a quick shout out before we head out today.
I shall. Listen, first off, with Hog Holsters sponsoring the sponsors. Now, I'm not sure what the tax implications are for that, but I'm sure the IRS will let us know, especially if it's in a Venmo payment, Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Now you can buy direct from them. Rifle and pistol calibers, rifle and pistol length barrels available. Make sure you hit up hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind the enemy lines. They're not, the money don't grow on trees out there, folks. So make sure you reach over, learn some stuff, and maybe help them out. You want some awesome field gear, tactical gear, hunting gear, web gear, the kind of stuff you wear when you go outdoors? Go to uscombatgear.com. And of course, the sponsor of our sponsors, Hog Holsters, HAWGholsters.com. Make sure you go there, get yourself some awesome tactical, combat, civilian wear, concealable holsters for you and all your friends at hogholsters.com. Use the discount code, The Rundown, all caps, no spaces.
Once again, folks, they bring us to you so that we bring you to them. Check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them and tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. On that note, we're going to call it a day. We will be back tomorrow on Hump Day. You guys have a good afternoon/evening. We'll talk to you again real soon.